Hey toy fans, I'm here with a review. Now seems like forever since I've been here, but I've got a couple things in the works to kind of get out to you. But today I was in church and it is Epiphany, the day that the wise men make it to celebrate the birth of Jesus and to offer their gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And I was like, that's awesome, and it seems like back in October I had picked up this huge Bible Quest package I got on eBay. It's an older toy, but it was one of those that has the three wise men or magi, and it was, it's got their camels, it's got their hats, it's got their cloaks, and their gifts. I was like, you know what? We should probably break this down. We should talk about it. And, I got it in hopes of one day, getting the manger scene with Joseph and Mary and the little baby Jesus, and there was like a cow and like a goat, and then I have a shepherd and an angel with a couple lambs. So I was like, eventually one day I'm gonna make a actual nativity scene out of action figures, and I think that's kind of what they had in mind. So what do you say? Let's break this down and review it, yeah? And this is our Bible Quest. And I loved it because it would say Bible Quest, unlock your world with questions. And then of course you've got your three wise men, you've got their hats and their gifts they give. I'm guessing that would be the gold. We'd say that this would probably be the frankincense, and this would probably be the myrrh. And then you've got your three magi or wise men. You got your camels in the back, and it does say three wise men here. And this is kind of an older box, so a lot of the coloration is kind of messed up at this point. On the top, you would have this nice picture of Joseph and Mary, and they're looking at the light that baby Jesus is emitting. And then, of course, on the back, you have cross-cell art that shows. Let's see if I can adjust this a little bit. There we go. My sweep is not quite big enough for all of this, so this is going to be kind of weird. But you have your cross-cell art where you have, of course, Joseph, Mary, baby Jesus, a donkey, and then you have the cave, which is not exactly like a cave. It was a household they were in, but that's just the way the story goes. And of course, you've got an angel, a shepherd with his staff, and you've got the two sheep there, which is nice. And I've got this set, though I'm missing a part of them. And then you've got the wise men here. And the wise men out of all the sets probably has the most to it. This one has an actual play set where this has a lot of the animals that are serving as vehicles in this particular wave. Now with that, it says, the heavenly voice of the angel startled Mary as she listened in amazement. Only God could begin the life of the Messiah in her womb, yet her faith echoed her words. May it be unto me as you said. And it was so. When her fiancé Joseph heard the news of her pregnancy, he decided to quietly leave her. Little did he know that God had dispatched an angel to tell him that Mary would give birth to the Son of God. His name would be Jesus, Emmanuel, or God with us. The wedding was followed by an urgent trip to Bethlehem. Mary, tired and very pregnant, longed for a comfortable room to stay, but there was none. Instead, baby Jesus was born in a manger amidst the lowing of the stable animals. While the world slept, its savior arrived. Embark on the journey of the lifetime with the three wise men, discover the amazing world of Bible Quest. All right, and of course, this is the front of the box. Now, there's not really anything else to say besides for the writing on the back, the cross-cell art. There's like a key emblem on this side. But other than that, there's really nothing else to say about the figures in the box. The box doesn't really lend a lot of extra excitement to it. Instead, we need to get these guys out and get to praying. I'm sorry, playing. And of course, this is our three wise men outside of packaging, along with their camels and their gifts. And each one of these, so every single camel actually has the same amount of articulation. Let's fold this guy down here. And let's take a look at least one of these camels. So the camels themselves, they have, of course, this loose saddle. And the saddle is made of kind of a hard plastic. So it is a hard plastic. You're gonna set it there. It's gonna retain its shape. You can almost make it like a little tent in a way. And the camel itself has got, of course, a swivel head. It's got really good sculpting. However, there's some choice sculpting here that allows for some weird cuts. You've got some swivel legs, but it only moves about yay far. You do have some hinge knees, and they hinge back on all the legs. These back legs do hinge down and back, so they swivel a little bit more, and they can almost swivel almost completely around. It can almost scratch its belly. And then, of course, the same on the other side. There is no articulation to the tail, even though it is a different piece. And if you want, you could set your camel so he could sit down like so and go, You almost want to pair him with a Conan action figure so Conan can hit him. But that is the camel. And every single camel is essentially the same. So you've got this darker brown camel, you've got a gray camel here, and it has a lighter kind of blue saddle on it. And the saddles themselves are a little asymmetrical in a way. So they kind of feel just a tad bit, maybe, that one was backwards. This is so old, it's got kind of the weird, plastic residue film that you get. But yeah, so if you see something shiny on it, it's probably the residue you get from older toys. So you got that camel, and then you actually have a kind of a tan camel. I like this camel here a lot. Again, the saddle seems to be backwards, but you can place it either way because there's a what is that? A stirrup, I think, or not a stirrup? It's I can't remember what it's called, but it's the part of the saddle that you hold. So he's got kind of the lighter tan here with a little bit of gray and gray legs. So, the camels themselves, they look pretty good. I dig them a lot. I didn't think I was going to like the camels quite so much, but I do. Okay, so after the camels, of course, we have our wise men. And we're going to start with this one here first. Actually, let's see. We start with gold, so he came with what looked like the chest for gold. Now, if you're not familiar with the Bible Adventures figures, they're pretty simple. These stand at almost a 4.5 inch, almost 5 inch scale. So they're not quite 5 inches, so they don't really measure to a 5 inch toy. They're like 4.25, 4.5. But they do have a swivel head. They do have the swivel arms. With that, you do have a hinged elbow, swivel hand, and then you do have a bicep cut up in there that allows for the hand to go out, so you can like wave, woohoo, camel over here. And then same thing on the other side, so all the same articulation, and there's no like ball hinged shoulder or anything. Now these soft goods, they usually kind of undo, so you can take them off, and they do have what I like to call diaper bottoms. So they do have a swivel waist, they do have hinge knees, and it's kind of weird because it'll overhinge forward if you're not too careful, and then you have the ball hinged feet. Now there's one thing about these toys that's very, very odd. These toys, they have hinged to side for their legs. However, if you want them to actually sit on something, you have to hinge their legs in, almost like they are kind of pigeon-toed, and do their legs this way. This is one of those that's like the really awkward fault of these particular figures, is that they don't sit. They can't sit in a vehicle. You can, and it works out with the camel here, because you can actually take their legs out like this, and they can ride on top of their camel. Actually, let's look at this guy on this camel. Well, let's not expose the world there, buddy. But there you go. He sits on his camel, actually, pretty decently. But as far as the leg articulation, it is a little odd. Now with him, he did come with this chest. Whew, I'll get in here in a minute. And this chest, it's not meant to open. It is a softer plastic that's got pegs in it. And it is supposed to be one solid piece. So it'd been kind of cool if it did open to show like gold or something inside, but it does not. Now, as far as him carrying the chest, because they all have these flat hands, it's gonna be kind of difficult. Now, the last accessory he comes with, he does come with this really cool pointy hat. The really cool pointy hat doesn't exactly want to stay on his head. So this is one of those where I'm like, should we have had like some sort of indentation where the hat would have like set on him? And I could do multiple things. I might be able to boil this and, you know, place it on his head and see if that does it. But as of right now, this thing will just fall off. So that's, even though I love the coloring of this one is like probably my favorite as far as suit, because I like the red and the orange and very, very cool. But he does have some issues with that hat. Now, let's look at the next guy. So we got gold. This would be frankincense, I'm guessing. And, you know, he's got, of course, the same articulation. He's got that swivel head, though his head does have issues because of that beard. With him, issues not so bad because the beard's not quite so long, but these beards are stiff, basically, like as the whole head sculpt is. So they do not want to open up. He does have, much like the other guy, an underrobe and then another robe that goes across, it's tied, and he has the same articulation as the other guy. So there's not a lot of change in this. With his frankincense, let's see if he'll actually kind of hold on to it. Kind of, yeah. Okay, that's not too bad. And then, of course, his hat, let's see if it'll... It kind of stays. I think with this, once some of the oil is wiped away, maybe they'll hold a little bit better. He has kind of a King Herod vibe if you watch any of the biblical stories. Like I know they did one on oh my goodness, what is it? They did one for Esther, and the king has a hat or crown that looks very similar to that. And then of course our last figure would be this guy right here with the orange and blue, and it's a pretty nice look too. His is the only one that actually looks like Velcro on it, so his getup, it'd be a lot easier to take off. But you know, I found that sometimes when you take these off, except for like the Esther figure, where you change her peasant to her queen robes, there's, for the most part, like, you don't really want to take the stuff off because it's a pain to put back on. Now with him, he does have the myrrh, and let's see how he holds the bottle of myrrh and is able to present it. Not too bad until he steps forward. He does have this really cool looking hat here. And his is the only one that seems to fit perfectly without any hindrance or any issue whatsoever. So we were to take these guys, put them on the camels, and put their stuff in their hands. See if he'll hold it. Yeah, that's kind of how they look. It's pretty cool. All in all, I like the idea of you know, an action figure nativity scene. I think it's really cool. I just know that the Joseph and Mary sets are highly expensive, so I don't know if I'm ever going to get one of those sets or be able to afford it because they are very, very pricey. All in all, this set, you know, it's one of those I kind of got a deal on, though I had to drive and go pick it up because shipping on this was incredible. These all came in stores back in like 2007. You get them at like Mardell's and some of the online Christian stores or places like that to sell. But they never hit anything mainstream. And because of that, they didn't stick around long. And it's weird because the company itself actually comes out of Irving, which is kind of on the back doorstep of where I live here in Texas. So it's like one of those where I would have loved to have seen more. And back in 2007, I'd love to have known more about it. But at that point, I was just coming back in to Texas from California, and there's just no way I would have known about it at the time. So I do feel like it was a bit of a miss. With this being said, I'm kind of excited about these, and I'm enjoying these quite a bit. And I got these in anticipation of one day getting the D13 Biblical Adventure toys that are supposed to be coming out. And, we're still waiting on those here and now. But these have a nice kind of, faith-based, toy-based sort of play that seems really cool. And it's one of those that if you got this for your kids and you really want to reinforce the wise men, the magi, the whole nativity scene, what it means and who these people are and the history of the Bible, this is a really fun way to do it. However, at this point in the game, they are also so expensive that I can't imagine wanting to hand this over to kids, because I would be afraid that it's going to be destroyed at this point. This has now become a really cool shelf piece for me to get to talk to others about, but not so much for me to really get to have quite as much play as I would have liked. If you can find it in, its $40 range, it's pretty worth it. Anything below, definitely worth it. Anything higher, you got to start questioning things. Keep in mind, if you do get it, you're probably going to get some, plastic sweaty camels and saddles, but I think a little bit of detergent soap and a little bit of washing will help all that go away in time. Now, that's all I got to say about the Magi. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I have, and I hope that you're having an excellent Epiphany. God bless, and I'll see you next time. When I'm not recording videos here on YouTube, I'm actually over on a podcast on marvindogmedia.com called Talking Toys with Taylor and Jeff. It's a really cool toy podcast. Be sure to check it out. Also, I need your help getting my YouTube channel to grow. Be sure to subscribe down below with that big red button. Hit that bell for notifications so you can be alerted of anything that comes from me to you. Like this video, it helps YouTube know that you like what I'm making, and comment down below. I like chatting with you all.